opportunist had told everyone at the Regal Beagle that his roommate was a rising star. When the commercial came on during the halftime of a Lakers game, the entire pub went silent as Jack, dressed as a vibrating lemon, hopped across the screen screaming about soda. Stanley Roper happened to be at the pub that night. He laughed so hard he nearly choked on his pretzel. "Look at that. It's the kid from upstairs. He's a lemon. I always knew there was something fruity about him." Jack was mortified. For a week, every time he walked past the ground floor, Stanley would make a squeezing motion with his hands and shout, "Hey, Zesty, give us a pucker." Even Helen couldn't resist. "Jack, dear, would you mind helping me with the groceries? I've got some lines that need a professional's touch." The only solace was the paycheck, a modest sum that allowed Jack to buy a new, high-quality frying pan. It was worth it, Jack told the girls as he flipped a pancake. "At least this pan won't ask me to dance in a rind." Chapter 8. The High Society Social and the Butler's Blunder. Jeanette's boss at the flower shop, Mr. Compton, had a problem. He was hosting a grand floral gala for the city's most prestigious socialites, including the formidable Mrs. Vandergeld, and his regular catering staff had come down with a mysterious case of food poisoning. "Jeanette, you're my best worker. You're organized. You have taste," Mr. Compton pleaded. "Do you think that roommate of yours, the one who cooks good, handle a small, elegant dinner for 6? It's just hors d'oeuvres and a main course. High society. Jeanette, no lemons." Jeanette hesitated, remembering the lightning bolt incident. "I don't know, Mr. Compton. Jack is creative, but he can bit, accident-prone. I'll double your salary for the month." "Jack will do it," Jeanette shouted into the phone. The plan was simple. Jack would cook, and Chrissy and Jeanette would act as servers. They even managed to borrow some formal wear. Jack looked surprisingly dashing in a tuxedo, though he kept tripping over the long tails. "Remember, Jack," Jeanette warned as they set up in the Vandergeld mansion, "these people are old money. They value silence, elegance, and perfectly shaped carrots. No jokes, no pratfalls. Jeanette, I'm a professional. I'll be like a ghost in the kitchen. A culinary phantom," Jack promised, though he was currently struggling to open a bottle of vintage champagne without taking out a chandelier. The guests arrived, looking like a collection of museum exhibits in silk and pearls. Mrs. Vandergeld was a woman who spoke primarily in sighs of disappointment. The first course, a delicate shrimp mousse, went off without a hitch. Jack was feeling confident. He decided to add a theatrical touch to the main course of flambéed duck. "Now watch this, girls," Jack whispered in the kitchen, holding a match to a pan of brandy. "The trippered torch will be the talk of the town." The duck went up in flames beautifully. The smoke detector, a high-end system, sensitive enough to detect a burnt toast in the next county, triggered immediately. A massive industrial sprinkler head, located directly above the dining table, activated, drenching Mrs. Vandergeld and her guests in a torrential downpour of cold water. "Jack, shut it off!" Jonna screamed, trying to cover the roasted duck with her apron. Chrissy, trying to be helpful, grabbed a large tray of appetizers and tried to use it as an umbrella for Mrs. Vandergeld. But she tripped on her long skirt and sent 48 miniature quiches flying into the woman's lap. The dinner ended with the guests fleeing the mansion in towels. Mr. Compton was speechless, and the trio was ushered out by a very wet and very angry butler. "I guess I won't be getting that internship," Jack sighed as they sat in the back of a taxi, their tuxedos ruined and smelling of wet quiche. Jonna sighed, leaning her head against the window. "Mr. Compton is going to fire me, isn't he?" "Oh, I don't think so," Chrissy said, pulling a damp shrimp out of her hair. Mrs. Vandergeld did say it was the most refreshing dinner she'd had in years. She thought the indoor rain was a new avant-garde theme from Europe. Amazingly, Chrissy was right. The socialites, desperate for anything new and exciting, labeled the evening a sensory masterpiece. Mr. Compton didn't fire Jonna. He gave her a promotion for her daring creativity. Jack, however, was banned from using fire in any room with a ceiling for the foreseeable future. Chapter 9: The Fitness Fad and the Health Spa. The following month, Larry Dallas burst into apartment 201 with his usual air of unearned victory. He was clutching 5 colorful vouchers that looked like they had been printed in a basement, but promised unlimited luxury at a new health spa in the hills. "I've done it, kids. I've cracked the code to eternal youth," Larry announced, slapping the vouchers onto the kitchen counter. "It's the oasis of vitality. Steam rooms, mud baths, and enough organic kale to turn you into a human salad." "Larry, where did you get these?" Jonna asked, picking one up and noticing that vitality was spelled with 3 I's. "I sold the owner a vintage station wagon. The floorboards were a bit ventilated, so he gave me these instead of a commission. We go this weekend." Chrissy was thrilled. "A mud bath. I've always wanted to know what it feels like to be a potato." Jack was less convinced. "Larry, the last time you took us to a spa, it was just a leaky garden hose and a bucket of gravel. Are you sure this is legit?" "Jack, trust me. This place is top of the line. I hear they even have a mass who was trained by monks." Against their better judgment, the trio and the ropers whom Larry had invited to secure the landlord's favor piled into a couple of cars and drove to the hills. The oasis of vitality turned out to be a repurposed summer camp with sagging cabins and a pool that looked like it was hosting a science experiment. The monk-trained mass was actually a very large man named Igor, who seemed to believe that the key to health was to try and fold his clients into origami shapes. The mud bath was just a literal hole in the ground filled with cold rainwater and dirt. "I feel very vibrant," Chrissy said, standing waist deep in the muck. Or maybe that's just a frog biting my ankle. The weekend culminated in a detox hike led by a woman named Sunshine, who insisted they walk barefoot through a patch of stinging nettles. Stanley Roper, who had been grumbling since they hit the driveway, finally snapped when a goat tried to eat his favorite sun hat.